Greetings, and welcome to the Abyss. One man's trash can be another man's treasure, and with a little effort, you can make an angel, a devil. We're gonna goth cycle a thrift find today, y'all. Here is everything I used for this project. When I stumbled on these matching ceramic shelves at the thrift store, I thought,
it's deeply terrible.
But then I realized,
I could goth that up real good.
to the secret lab!
I'm filming.
Now, to be fair, I initially bought one shelf, gothed it up, and hung it up in my office all in the same day.
To be fair.
Hello. Only after it was done did I realize it would make a good video, so I went back and bought the second one. We're gonna make an unholy sibling. Unlike the first cherub, this one is chipped on the nose and the tips of the wings. I'm a fan of using what I've got on hand, and what I have is spackle, so I'm using that like wood filler to smooth out these edges. Zero idea if this will work. I don't need it to be functional, just pretty, so if it holds its shape, that's good enough. I'm stirring it to make a smooth paste and layering it thickly on the chipped areas. Now I just have to let it dry for a couple of hours. Now that it's dry, I'm starting with 150 grain sandpaper on the wingtips first. Holy crow, it's actually working.
Yay.
I'm following the grain of the existing feathers and smoothing out the edges. You want to use your fingers to feel for edges or lumps. Your eyes will fool you because the filler is a different color. If you can't feel anything out of place, you're good to go. Moving on to the second wingtip, you can see how lightly I'm brushing the sandpaper across the spackle. It doesn't take much effort at all. Be gentle. If you overdo it or accidentally take off a chunk you didn't mean to, just apply more spackle, let it dry, and try again.
Oh, can you imagine?
Here's both wingtips all finished up. On to the nose. I'm using a finer sandpaper with this one to take off less at a time. I realized I hadn't made the spackle thick enough, so the nose looks a little flat. I could have gotten perfectionist with it, but it won't look cracked, and that's really good enough for what I'm doing. Now to the fun part, Black 3.0.
Black 3.0.
The blackest black paint that has ever blacked.
How much more black could this be? And the answer is none. None more black.
Black 3.0.
Black 3.0.
And so many other cool paints are created by Stuart Semple. No, this is not a sponsored video, I just love the products and what he brings to the art world. You will too, links in the description. After giving it a good shake, I squeeze out about 3 tablespoons. This is an acrylic paint that dries to a velvet black matte. It is by far the most goth paint I've ever found. Love it. Grabbing a big old brush, I just dip in and go to town. If you don't have Black 3.0,
Black 3.0.
you can use any black acrylic or tempera paint. I'm giving it a pretty thick initial coat, being sure to go around the rounded edges, but I'm not painting the back. It's a waste of paint. Don't use a top coat. Any kind of sealer or top coat kills Black 3.0's velvety magic. I'm making sure not to leave any drips or paint puddles. Texture is key for the final step of this project, so you don't want to add more by accident. After letting it dry, here's a good look at the first coat. One of the reasons I love this paint is because you can see anything you missed. It's already looking much more evil. For the second coat, I'm starting with a smaller brush to get any of the big spots that I missed that are harder to reach. After those are all filled, I go back over the whole thing again with the big brush. Another thick coat, watching for drips and puddles. Now here's something I wasn't expecting. After the second coat, the cherub is so black, the camera is actually having a hard time figuring out what to focus on. It keeps trying to overexpose. We've created a gothic black hole! Ah, there we go. That's how black it is. That's hilarious. On to the next step.
Bring it on.
Here comes Rub and Buff. This is a wax metallic finish, and a little goes a long way. To use Rub and Buff, put a small dollop on a paper towel. Using your finger, get a tiny dab on the tip of your finger, rub it off on the paper towel first, then watch this. Pow! Just by gently rubbing your finger across the surface, the wax sticks to the raised parts, making you look like some ultra-skilled painter.
Gothic magic.
Begin with a tiny amount. You can always add more. The more you rub it, the shinier it gets. That's where the buff part of its name comes from. But don't be scared. If you overdo it, Black 3.0
Black 3.0.
can cover it up no problem. I always prefer to work in sections, so I'm working my way around starting with the wings. Not too shabby if I do say so myself. Next up is the hair and face. I go a bit slower here because I'm paying more attention to the detail. You'll notice when I'm reloading my finger that I'm not doing it from the main dollop on the paper towel, but from my rub-off spot right next to it. That's more than enough to get the job done. Only reload if nothing is coming off at all, and always wipe your finger on the paper towel before touching the project. It's so easy to take too much. Here's me using too much wax. I'll paint over it to fix it, so I'll just use the rest to finish the molding. The face I want really, really subtle, so I'm making sure my finger is basically dry, and then just try to touch on the highest points. Lips, apples of cheeks, chin, tip of nose, brow bone, and forehead. Okay, here comes the hardest part. To make the eyes unnerving, they need to glow in the darkest night. I'm using a fine, stiff brush to push the wax into the eye sockets and shine it up. I'll get as accurate as I can, then clean it up with black paint. If I nail it, they will stare into your very soul. I'm detailing with paint and a very fine brush. I also darken the entire area around the eye to make the eye itself really pop. Then just some final touch-ups where the gold was just a little too much, and ta-da! Evil twins. This is much better lighting for you to see how dark the paint really is. The eyes seem to glow, and you can't see where I added the plaster on either the wingtips or the nose. Huzzah!
I hope you enjoyed watching me goth cycle our little cherub friend today. This is how to goth up anything, and I'm Cat Downs.
Subscribe.